How are you? Praise God, folks. How are you? This is Old Truth speaking, coming to you with another short vid on the current affairs of America and the world and African Americans or black folks, if you will. And we already heard plenty of people quote the statistics over and over, sorry, and over again. The reason why I'm coming to you this time is because an elderly black lady who always gave the word in the church, almost 80, her and her husband, was going into a church. Now, all of these big bad gangsters was out there. Somehow, somebody made a mistake or something, and her husband was a little ill. But to make the long story short, do you know, and it was done by a white guy, he punched this old elderly black lady in the face, this bum. And it was posted all over the news, too. And the point is that no snitch or no policy. Everybody, we were getting feedback from all over America. I mean, it was somebody was so upset they posted it on one of the social groups. I think it was Facebook. And I mean everybody, white and black. Well, where are all the people? Well, where is everybody? What's going on? Why didn't all these guys out there, nobody, all these big bad thugs with their pants in their behind, nobody did anything really? Where's Al Sharpton? Where's Jesse Jackson? David Carroll is right about the Negro. So was James David Bannon. I mean, when it comes to the point, our communities look like hellholes. Not just one. Almost 99.9% of most of the African American communities are in financially terrible shape, crime-ridden. And you have to understand, with the political element, you know that Donald Trump is very close. If he conquers Hillary in the elections, he will be the elected president if he wins. And don't think he's going to sit around. You know how this man is. And we can throw all the gang signs. We can be as Mac Daddy or all we cool as we want to be. Doc Kim or Little Caesar, whatever you want to call it, shooting each other down. You could do all that if you want. That man is going to send the military into these black neighborhoods. These white folks are getting tired of this. And so are a few of our African Americans. Do you know out of 39 or 41 whatever million African Americans, only 44% own their own homes? Bam! They're knocked out of that. Hardly any African Americans own any of the businesses in their own community. So you're knocked out of from an economical standpoint. You don't have communities, you have neighborhoods. A community is a self-sustained unit. Your money is supposed to bounce in your neighborhood. You're supposed to exhaust your money. They're circling in your neighborhood to all the businesses before go out to other races and ethnic groups. It's disgraceful. Bam! You're knocked out of that one. In New Orleans alone, Louisiana, the Tuskegee Institute said that New Orleans, the African American community has living at 80% poverty rate. 80%. Do you know most of the black neighborhoods, the teen unemployment is at over 50%. We need God right now. We don't have time to listen to all these old bought and sold out civil rights leaders or these kooky CBC PAC leaders. These lobbyists, thieves and phonies. I told you before, we need God now. But I'm going to tell you, most politicians, I don't care what color they are, they're just as full of crap as a constipated elephant. They're not worth a piece of used toilet paper. They're thieves and lobbyists. We've been free 150 years. My family had their own big businesses in the medium-sized businesses in the 1950s and early 60s. You know when all of it disappeared? When all this inclusion, civil rights came into play. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody have the right for civil rights. But our ancestors were slaves. We didn't come over in the Nina and the Maria and the whatever you call it. No, I don't remember, and I don't want to remember. See, you are being replaced, and you're listening to people like Al Sharpton. Even Obama didn't do nothing for you. Obama is your worst enemy. At least on the Ronald Reagan and Bush, they made more money than ever did. Very few people now make the money that they did for you, especially African Americans. And the few, like Dr. James David Manning said, the few African Americans that are financially stable are not going to help you at all. They are bought and paid for. Just like Al Sharpton, I'll say it. Just like Jesse Jackson. You see they ran him out of Chicago. Then you go turn right around and vote for the same woman whose family almost destroyed the black family to begin with that crime bill, which brought on the 3-strike bill. That's why you have organizations like Correctional Corporation of America to start with. And gangster rap. Not rap, gangster rap. Do you know the private prisons are all owned by the same people that own the music industry? One of them is Black Rock, the other one is Vanguard, big investment company. And when it comes to the media, we don't own anything. David Carroll is right. Man, somebody shot down a little girl. A little girl. And then another little girl was shot with her old eye socket blown out. Man, that's sick. How cowardly. Everybody asks, why do black men, the black race, actually hate and despise with a demonic passion? Why do they despise one another? I'll tell you why. Because you don't know your God. That's why. You are financially better off in the old days than you are now. You don't have a thing. You don't own nothing. You need God right now. You can march for all these others. I'm talking about if you want to come here, do it the right way. Spanish or anybody, Mexican or anybody else. I'm not. I can say that my daughter's half Puerto Rican. Nothing wrong. I've never had any problem with anybody. I cannot complain about Mexicans who come here and unite, just because we can. My grandfather said black people have what they call crab in the barrel syndrome. As soon as one try to come up, the other one snatch them back down. I heard an elderly person say, misery love company. We can't stand none of this type of poverty. We don't own anything. You're just marching up and down the last 50 years for nothing. What in the hell you look like going over there marching for somebody to beg to eat a slice of watermelon and a piece of chicken or a bowl of soup at the place where you most likely somebody in your relative were cooking at the restaurant anyway. No, you should have been asking for reparation for Black Wall Street and asking to leave you alone instead of begging for something. Every time you march, you're begging, you're begging, you're begging. The only race that does that. That's why you have a little China, a little Havana, a little Mexico. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. The Arabs have even Sharia law in that area. You've been here, but 500 or 400 years, don't have a thing. A pot to pee in or a window to throw it out. Stop begging these white people for something and stop listening. You're being guided by the wrong people. Dr. King was a great man, but I believe also in Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey had it right. You need not hating anybody. I love everybody. I like people who like me. I'll put it that way. But what we need now is to be self-sufficient. You have to be an asset instead of a liability. God did not create you to be running around begging. He didn't create any slave. Jesus never had a slave. Obama is one of your worst enemies. He has done nothing for you. He's the reason you're big. Let me tell you something. It wasn't the Republicans who were bringing all these other people over you. Those people have slaves in over the Middle East now. And I'm not against them. I'm just telling you the truth. Do you know that a lot of those people, and this is a subject for another vid, they have found bodies out there, black bodies and others, but all the inside taken out, where they just it's too disgusting to report. Where wealthy people have bought organs, so they promise these people another life someplace and get them out there and just Right now in the Middle East, you have black slaves. Right now. And they're not the only one. You need God right now. Following those old bought and paid for so-called processed hair wearing civil rights race baiters. Like I told you before, why else do you think they ran them out of Chicago? David Carroll and Dr. Jane David Manning was right. And the Federal Reserve even said it, that you're not going to get rich. That education is not going to close the wealth gap. It never has. The St. Louis section of the Federal Reserve, the head of it, said it. He agreed with what Marcus Garvey said. That was Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois' major debate with one another. Education alone is not going to close the racial or wealth gap in America between black and white. It never has, and it hasn't yet, and it's not going to. Not at the rate we're going. Do you realize that black men right now are only 6.6% of the population? You have over 320 million people in America. You need God right now to repent for our sins and stop butchering and murdering each other and get some respect. God is the only one who can do it. Now right here, y'all can't wait till November to go right there and vote for Hillary Clinton. I know she laughed all the way back home. I don't believe it. I got those Negroes voting for me again. She didn't even want nothing to do with it. She told Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Do you know how many, if black people stop hating on one another and keep these women out of these doggone abortion clinics, you know what percentage of the population black women make up? But you make up 34% of all abortions. All you did was butcher doctors. You put lawyers, men and women of God. You just butchered them. They just took everything they had and everything they're going to be. Just following them, just put your underwear and panties down and just have sex like a wild animal. The devil is a liar. Now you think Trump gonna keep on letting you go like this? They don't need to say nothing about the Republican Party ain't doing that. Look, you've been voting for Democrats for the left. You never see Dr. Martin Luther King endorse anybody, did you? Stop and think. Am I hating anybody else? No. But we need to clean our own house. Stop begging the white man for something. The country is $19.1 trillion in debt. When you add in SSI and Medicare and Medicaid, over $60 trillion. The country is literally imploding in on itself. They don't have that kind of money. We need God right now. And I ask people to pray. Because Lord knows we really need it. It just doesn't make any kind of sense. We've been knocked out. Bam, knocked out. In the meeting they said, we're here to replace the Negro. All the other races, why black people butcher and murder each other like that? Everybody feeding you, every neighborhood you go into, you're being fed and clothed by Asians and Arabs. Now how ironic. The Arabs were in Africa enslaving you 1,000 years before the Europeans even got there. It's the white man. No, it's you. It's ridiculous. Shooting down babies and kids, man. Really? Well, why you say that? I can say anything I'm within reason, as long as I'm correct. I had an uncle who was in December 7th, 1941 at Pearl Harbor. God bless, folks. We need help now. We can't survive like this, like Dr. Claude Anderson said. Marcus Garvey was right. We can't keep on like this. God bless, folks. We need help now.